What the fuck?
Alright, so what we can,
Perhaps we can have a little bit of a, you know, an exchange-a-roo, a switcheroo, if you may.
Wrong mic.
No?
Alright, so for those who have just joined the stream, this is the Singapore Esports National Selections.
Okay.
We already had day 1 and we had exciting games so far. I think Abstract is still recovering his voice from yesterday
No,
itself.
I'm all good. I'm all good.
Alright, so my name is Aries and casting alongside me, like I just said, is
Yeah, I
Abstract.
mean,
And we have day 2
that's later.
of the Singapore Esports National Selections. And kicking off day 2
Okay, now
itself, we have none other than
Sorry,
Bigetron Esports up against Evos Esports. So 2 major powerhouses in Singapore going up against one another in the lower brackets. I would say this is the semi-finals for the lower brackets. So any predictions for day number, or rather the match number 1 of day 2?
Well, I would say my prediction would be that instead of expecting like a really defensive gameplay coming from both either Bigetron or Evos, I actually might be thinking that they are going to go extremely offensive. They're going to really invade on the jungles just to make sure that the opponent sides do not have any chance to breathe. In the event that they have heroes like Gujan, which relies a lot on the early game rotation of proper goal and experience management. That is when the opponent will really shine when it comes to invading jungles.
Right, we have seen a couple of different styles coming up from both teams as well. Bigetron definitely being more passive during the earlier parts of the game. They prefer to just clear the lane, go back into their own jungle, ensure that their carries can gain as much as gold and EXP as possible, as compared to invading into the opponent's jungle. It is a small gamble, a small risk to take, but here we have the brackets up on your board, and you can see all the progresses of the teams so far. Like we said, we're starting the day with Bigetron Esports up against Evos Esports, and on the top half of the brackets, we will have Nara Esports up against Resurgence. Be reminded that those in the upper brackets will be playing off in a best of 3 series, whereas the lower brackets will be a best of 1, except for the loser finals, which will be a best of 3 as well. And the winner of that will go up to face whoever wins the winners bracket semi-finals in the grand finals, which will be an ultimate best of 5. So I'm pretty hyped for that, but I believe that both teams could be ready in the losers semi-finals. It's so weird to call them losers because
they're not exactly losers.
Right, they're still in the competition itself, so we can't exactly call them losers.
Yeah,
so
it's like top bracket,
local
bottom
bracket sounds nice. Yeah, lower bracket sounds
better. So we have already went through with that. So in some sense, we'll be able to see most of these teams compete with each other one way or another. It's like yesterday we have seen. We've seen Evos fought with Impulse Error, Nara against Impunity, Bigetron against ITN, and so on and so forth. So right here, with all the 4 big names coming in, I'm pretty sure that we should be able to see, like, let's say we have Resurgence at the top, right? Maybe if Resurgence stay at the top and Nara goes down, then we'll be seeing a completely different matchup all over again.
Right, absolutely.
So it's always fresh and new.
Yep, that's the risk, rather that's the experience that teams take with them throughout the tournament. And like I said, during tournaments there's such thing as a tournament meta going in. You may be prepared all for the weeks upcoming for this tournament, but during it itself you may spot a couple of heroes or a couple of strategies, rotations, etc, that could be a little bit different as compared to playing in the public meta or scrims that you may have had before the day itself. But we are right into the draft, and we will have Evos kicking it off with a Kaja and a Krufra ban. So taking it over from day number 1, Krufra still facing that 100% pick ban rate, so no Krufra this game, whereas for Bigetron they will take out the Kimi and Grog. So nothing out of the ordinary as of yet. Both teams still keeping quite close to what we saw in day number 1.
Well, of course, Kufra in MPL, it really was an experimental stage, and it does seem like that experimental stage is officially over. People have seen the power of Kufra, and they understand the possibilities that Kufra is able to deliver in every games. And that is why Kufra is pretty much, in some sense, the S-tier pick, S-tier bans. Now, you wouldn't want to have a Kufra at the opponent's side if you do not play a Kufra in your team.
Right, definitely. I mean, like you mentioned, Kufra was in this very iffy stage, right? It was kind of in an experimental zone. Players were not really sure about how you're going to pick that hero and utilize it, especially coming into current strategies and metas that's already been instilled into the game when you have so many players that, may or may not be able to execute execute the hero as intended, or rather as the game developers have intended him to do so. But as more and more high-tier players play it out and more professional players, experiment with him and figure out what's really the best and most optimal way to fully utilize his kit, then he becomes quite a stable hero. He becomes quite a valuable asset to the rest of the team, and this is why you see that in this such competitions where all of the players are playing at such a high level, they kind of figure out, oh, the Kufra is kind of a risk. His kit is really hard to combat as well, so we're just gonna take him out of the draft itself. And let's just catch up on the rest. We have Evos picking up the Akai and Harif. So all three, or rather both picks are quite mobile. We have Harif with that very low cooldown, that annoying CC with his ultimate as well. Whereas on the side of Bigetron, he's just going to counter it with a Digi. So understandably, Akai and Harif both have really huge team CCs, can really put your team out of place, or even hold them into place if you're talking about Harif. So picking up a Digi is definitely understandable. His ultimate definitely counters a lot of team CCs that can be put across the board. It kind of negates picking up Minotaur as well, but it has been taken up by Evo, so I'm guessing that they don't really want to give over the Minotaur and Digi combo to Bigetron. Having both in that stack is going to be a bit of trouble. Minotaur is going to give that Minion's Fury and stun the whole team out. We saw a couple coming out for past few teams on day number 1, and it was pretty influential in team fights. Obviously, Gushon will be picked up by Bigetron as well. We did mention at the earlier stages of the tournament, we didn't really see much Gushon, but he's becoming more and more of a familiar face as we go on in this past couple of matches. So Bigetron will snap that up right quickly. I'm assuming the Evos will definitely go for one more tank and one more mage, perhaps. Oh no, MM. Yeah, correct, MM. So, looks like they're going for fighter, so no MM this time round, but still a pretty solid lineup. I kind of like that Evos are focusing on a lot of bursts. They have Harif and Lunox as well, both really high burst mages. And not only that, they pick up the Lolita as well. So Lolita is a really hard babysitter, especially in early stages of the game. She has that shield that can really block all the shots coming out from LY4 playing on this Claude. So very good negator over there. They pick up a Leomod, so he's going to be split pushing throughout this game. I assume most likely going to be facing up against Singxi, who will be playing on this Claude. Alright, scratch that. He will be on the opposite lane of Hellcat. So looks like Bigetron going for a lot of disables right here, alongside with a couple of burst damages with that Grushan and Claude. So we'll see how that plays one out. That pretty much wraps up the draft for game number 1, or rather the only game that Bigetron and Evos are going to have against them. We saw an exciting, or rather one of the more exciting games of the tournament up against, in between, I would say, Evos Esports and Nara Esports, where I think that's pretty much the most exciting game of the tournament. I would say 2 lot takes, and then we saw Evos, or rather, was it Nara? Yeah, Evos Esports just throwing themselves at Nara as well to keep their throne alive. But it is Nara that will proceed. But Evos Esports, fear not, they have a second chance right here in this match up against Bigetron.
Evos Esports versus Nara Esports is one of the main highlight of yesterday's game, and I'm pretty sure that everyone agrees with that. So perhaps we'll be able to see a rematch of Evos versus Nara at the top brackets. We'll see about that, but they have a first obstacle to overcome, and that is gonna be to fight against Bigetron right here. Let's go through with the players. We do have Odia Bambi that's gonna be playing on Lunox, JBL onto Akai, Potato onto Harif, Soul onto Leomon, and Ace onto Lolita. On the other side, we do have Life4 that's playing as Claude. We do have KZP onto onto Cho, Sing onto Gushan, Sana onto Hellcat, and Mr. V onto the trustworthy Diggy. Right here in the middle lane, they should be able to score some easy experience through the lane, and then Gushan will be able to go in with his natural rotation. Remember, I said something about the fact that they want to go aggressive. It doesn't seem like it's gonna be that way, because if they want to go aggressive, they will definitely have to steal the buff away from Gushan.
Right, definitely, and you look at the way that Bigetron have managed to leash the buff right into the bushes right there. So Evos Esports definitely taking a gamble if they decide to go for it. But it looks like Bigetron, there's a little bit of a mix-up over here. Bigetron Esports is on the red side while Evos is on the blue side. So just take note of that as well. In the top lane, we do see Lunox just gonna be babysitted by Lolita. I kind of expected it the other way around, but it doesn't matter as well because Claude is at the bottom, so you kind of want to put your Lolita against the range hero. Oh, Hellcat going right in. Ace brought down to half HP, but looks like it's just going to be a mini engage. Both sides just going to reset right here.
Yeah, right now Sync have to get all the farm as much as possible. That is why the River Crab is credited to Sync instead of Claude. Now right here, it does seem like we might have a little bit of a teeny-weeny action here in the top lane as Soul joins in the fray. And in the meantime, just so easily, we power out the Chaos. Bambi goes straight in with the Chaos Assault and of course breaks in the Light Barrier with the power of the Auto Brilliance. He will be able to kite it around and try to make sure that Sync, Sana and Mr. V does not get them undershot. But unfortunately, he will still go down with all of that said. 1:1 with 5,000 gold for Evos Esports and 5,000 also for Bigetron. So both of them is still in a stalemate. It is pretty fine. For those people that is looking into the stream, do note that Evos Esports is actually in the blue side on our left, and we do have Bigetron that is actually on the red side on our right, just to confirm that in case there's some confusions right there.
Absolutely, can note that by the team text as well, but it is Singsi who is at level 5. We haven't seen much gang coming in from him as well, except for other than Q. I've expected a lot more aggressiveness coming out from Bigetron, but it looks like Evos may try to make a play right here.
And of course, right here, Evos have decided to turn back instead. Now, not going to push through onto Bigetron due to the fact that the two-man in top has miraculously disappeared. It does seem like they're going to go for a rotation right onto Turtle, and Evos Esports would not go for the retake
right, there's just no way they can contest that right there.
Give it all up.
It looks like they wanted to go to the bot lane to gank onto LY4 as well, but he was just nowhere to be found, not showing his face in lane, so pretty smart decision over there, and just bought enough time for Bigetron to pick up that turtle as well. But more importantly, we kind of see where the team mentality is coming from. Evos Esports definitely taking the aggressor mentality when it comes to ganking in lanes. Bigetron definitely still going for objectives. Like I said, ML objectives are one of the more important priorities that you want to have if you want to keep a good goal lead over your opponents, as well as map presence as well, and Bigetron Esports definitely doing a good job of doing that. They're not invading as much, but they're making sure that Evos have no chance of taking it. JPL definitely going for a stun right there. Oh,
well, speaking of invading, KZP just gonna go straight in for the Jukundo, but of course breaking the Light Barrier coming in. But we do have the time journey coming from Mr. V, just make sure that the entire team does not get CC'd down, and that is going to be the breaker of that initiation. Evos will then fall back to make sure that they do not expand even more ultimate or even more CCs that will be eaten up by time journey. Right. So we do have the time reversal coming in right onto Ace, but it's not going to do anything. In the end, Evos Esports will be able to successfully take down the first turret in the middle lane. Rotating over to the top lane, it does seem like KZP and Sana might be in some sort of danger. Power the Chaos Darkening right onto the face of KZP, but I've got to wait on Dragon just to make sure and disorientate Bambi just a little bit. And of course, with the daggers coming in from Gusion right onto Lunox, we'll be able to get a successful kill, and the ultimate channeling coming from Ace will be able to get a beautiful stun right onto Gusion to stop him right on his tracks. Even with the bomb onto Ace, he is still too tanky. There's absolutely no way, but the daggers will be able to seal the deal and give Soul that kill onto Gusion a little bit more of a revenging frag.
Oh, Singsi, he was just greedy over there. He was just licking his lips and looking at Ace, so low in HP. Decided to go for it, but he was gonna give a throw over, a Q over onto Soul as well. So 2-0, and this must be one happy Leomont, who's going back to lane, just gonna keep up with that farming phase, but more importantly, that fight just allowed LY4 to be able to pick up his Demon Hunter sword while all the fight was happening in top lane. LY4 just peacefully farming the bot lane and applying a lot of pressure onto that first turret of Evos Esports.
And we do have the summon force. It's just going to be summoned down right on the Harris. And of course the Dark Knight falls along with the time journey and the Hurricane Spin. Hurricane Spin is completely negated out. And Jikundo and the weight of the dragon right on the Harif. And he's not able to do anything with a single fusion. Right on KZP, right in the middle of everything. But of course, Hellcat goes down as well. And with that all said and done, Lolita and Leomon has got the best of all the worlds. We are only left with Gusion in the middle of absolutely nowhere, with his entire team completely decimated.
Bigetron over there, really good play. However, it is Evos Esports that will walk away with the battle of the fight. Not only that, they do manage to invade the opponent's jungle and pick up that juicy buff right in the Bigetron's heart. But I'm not really sure why Bigetron decided to go for the fight over there. I think, you know, they were confident that Sana has ultimate with the Darkness Fall. So maybe that was one of the reasons why they decided to go for it. But then Evos Esports replied brilliantly with Potato on that Harry, they're catching a 4-man stun with his ultimate. So well played by Evos as well to react to that gank coming in from Bigetron Esports. They weren't thinking the turtle as well, so I guess this is what triggered the fight. But speaking about triggering the fight,
Dark Knight falls, and of course the time reversal right on the middle of everywhere, and Lolita was unable to do anything, but the kind of speed is just going to be summoned right here on Soul, and immediately executing Diggy right here in the top lane. Unable to do anything, but JPL were able to cut the lanes and bring down the first defense turret at the top lane once again. So there is 2 turrets coming in for Evos Esports, knocking on the second one real soon, but I don't think that it will go down anytime.
Right, but more importantly, look at the position of Mr. V, the passive of Diggy kicking in soon. He's going to respawn round the spot.
Oh,
comes
too
right
much damage right here with JPL, completely knocking Gusion right into the wall with the Hurricane Dance. He have absolutely no way to get out of that. No Purify, no time journey. There is no way that Mr. V is just going to expend the time journey for him specially.
And look at, more importantly, you have that Archive pick up the Athena shield, so it's gonna be worse for Bigetron Esports as they look to break the ranks of Evos frontline. They have that tanky Archive right in the front. They have the Lolita who's gonna be blocking all the shots coming in from both Diggy and Claude as well. So they're gonna have to find some way to break past these 2 frontliners before they try to get to the back line, which we see Odia, Bambi, and So just doing so much work right behind. And I'm not even mentioning Potato, who's just jumping right around the battlefield, making it worse for Bigetron Esports as they try to lock down one backline from Evos. Oh, but we could see a team engagement pretty soon.
And JPL looks like he's just going to be kicked around just a little bit, but they are both just going to disband a little bit, and I think that the power of the Chaos Darkening is actually activated by BMB, but in response, Sana went straight in for the Dark Nightfall to make sure that he will be able to get himself away with a pseudo-free ultimate sprint.
If you put it that way, that sounds like he has the utmost of movement speed. Speaking of movement speed,
Blazing Duet, and it is a fight of Power of Chaos Darkening versus Blazing Duet, and it does seem like Chaos Assault wins the race of that, you know, burst down kind of damage 1 versus 1 issue magazine kind of thing. Well, we all know who's the grand victor right now. Of course, the Hurricane spin run the KCP as well, just locking everyone down, or rather just locking Cho down. Even the time journey wasn't able to free him up and get him back into the base. And it's going to be a 4v2 in the middle lane with Harith going to be split pushing at the bottom side and Hellcat free farming at the top lane, maybe just pushing just a little teeny bit. The second lane defense tower is, the middle lane, the second defense tower is going to go down, and they are going to be knocking on the inhibitor tower very soon.
Right, Chao still not up in 4 seconds. Without Chao, they don't have the CC available.
Dark Knight falls, followed by the Blazing Duet, but he's just going to teleport himself right back. The Summon Force going to be activated, and of course, wow, Diggy was actually managing to get a kill right on Lolita with the time reversal. With 4v4, there is absolutely no way that they can actually move straight in without Lolita's presence.
Right, good play by Mr. V there to pick up the kill onto Ace, but more importantly, Bigetron Esports initiating without KZP. He was still on the death timer right there, so pretty brave decision coming out from the raid side. And that's going to buy some time for Bigetron to farm out a little bit before they take the fight. We see Singxi over there completing his amulet, while Mr. V, I do believe, did manage to pick up a lightning wand. So more cooldown on the irritating Diggy as we see the next engagement. Gonna decide who's gonna pick up the Lord, or even for Evos Esports, if they pick up a team wipe onto Bigetron, they could look to end the game right there.
JPL wandering into the brush. HP is going down, but not too low yet. Sync is trying to deal some, pesky little damages with his daggers. Not going to accomplish to anything much at all. But we do have Ace as well as JPL. They want to advance as frontwards as much as possible so that they can get more map coverage. And here is going to be a big assault right in. Breaks in the light barrier. Lunox is going to do. But in the end, we do have Potato. He does have Zaman Force put down already, and just going to zap zoom a little bit with the chrono dash, but nothing is going to be accomplished once again. No dash, no kills, and this is the point of time where Evos actually got a decent amount of map control.
Right, it's just so hard to lock down that Harry with that, chronic zoom as well, but more important than Sonic Zoom. But more importantly, look at this, KZP. He's just going right in.
Jikundo just going to put a CC onto everyone's head, and of course, I think that the Blazing Duet was actually activated, but of course, Harris was able to get a kill onto Cho right now. Claude got a kill onto Arkai.
Oh
He's
my
going to be
gosh.
left with Helka. Helka goes down. Mr. B is going to be the only one remaining, and the Soul will be able to get the monster kill followed by the Lord.
Oh my
and that is a 5-man wipe right at the pits of the Lord. They have to push in straight in the middle lane. Actually, the Lord is pushing in from the middle lane, and they are going for a split push at the top lane. This is looking very, very grim for Bigetron Esports.
Not sure if they have enough time.
They do
Cooldown
have
timers.
Joe. They do have Joe. He's the only one remaining. Going for a little bit of Jikundo in. Jumbo on, not too sure, but Way of the Dragon trying to actually CC Bambi just a little bit. He's not able to do anything, but Guchan is coming straight out. Dark Knight falls. The Hellcat just go in. But the damage coming on the shrine is way too fast and way too high. And Bigetron Esports will lose out, unfortunately.
It is Evos Esports that will pick up the game against Bigetron Esports, and they will be proceeding into the lower brackets finals. But more importantly, what a stun there. Lord MVP once again. That 4-man stun up coming in from Lord onto Bigetron Esports is the worst case scenario that they could have asked for.
Lord.
And unfortunately for them, and fortunately for Evos Esports in retrospective, that was the best fight they could have gone. I mean, they were kind of losing the team fight. Bigetron had a lot of damage input as well, and then Lord just went, nope, I'm just gonna send you home as well. So unfortunately for Bigetron Esports, this is the end of the journey for them. But for Evos Esports, they leave to fight for another chance to go into the grand finals. But they will have to face the winner of the next game, which I do believe will be up against Nara Esports and Resurgence. So
we'll
I
have
guess
to see the results for that.
Right, we'll have to see what happens for that, like you mentioned. But nevertheless, I am pumped up for this game. Look at the replays over here. We see KZP doing such a good job at juking in, but there's just too much damage coming from Evos Esports as well. Look at that. This is breaking them down. Grushen comes in. He spots out Ace as well, who's really, really low. Good stand by there. I think JPL did manage to get out of the fight, and he spots out Ace. He goes for it, and I'm not sure if that's the best trade that 6C might have wanted. He's trading away the tank for one of core. And here we see another team fight. Look at that, Harif just being so annoyed by KZP with the 3-man knockup, buying so much time for Bigetron to just re-engage onto the rest of Evos. And like you mentioned, I have no idea where 6C was throughout the entire fight. He was just going for the backline, but more importantly, he just lost 3 calls right there. So Bigetron Esports, once again, the losing trait of that team. Or the engagement that we saw, so much burst damage, and without Diggy, that means that they can't really negate the CC coming up from Evos lineup. Here we see another team engagement coming as KZP brought down really low, and the moment that you have Chow really low, then there's just no way
the
they
one
can
movie, one buffet.
Right, there's just no way they can keep up with the team pressure right here. And team fight going in the way of Evos Esports manages to pick up Chow, and that was just defining moment. They kind of forced that Lord take over there. And notice right here, at this exact moment, and you kind of see the all members just crowding around Lord, and as Bigetron Esports look to be taking down the rest of Evos. Look at how low Lord is.
That is the knockout.
2-man knockout, and this just bought so much time for Evos Esports to kind of reset and clear up the rest of Bigetron. Oh, that was just the worst case scenario. Just from here, KCB trying his best, but it is Evos Esports that do manage to pick up the game. And yeah, it's just, I mean, MLBB as much as skillful as sometimes the RNG just doesn't go in their favor, and this is just not Bigetron's day.
Yeah, the Lord just doesn't want to see them anymore. The thing is, Evos is the one that is hitting the Lord all the way down to quarter of a health. The Lord should really punish Evos instead of punishing Bigetron, hit where it hurts the most. But in the end, it's really unfortunate for Bigetron to actually sustain that kind of CCs coming in from Lord. That is not something that any player could accomplish.
Alright,
it is pure AI skill.
A 2-man knockup, taking away a quarter of the HP.
AI is going to take over our system before you know it.
If you could. Yep, that's pretty much it. Well, congratulations to Evos Esports. They will be proceeding into the lower brackets finals. That was a best of 1. But this time round, I believe the next game that we have for you will be Nara Esports up against Resurgence. So once again, a replay of one of the toughest matches that we saw in day number 1. But I do believe that we will be going for a short break. First off, a big shout out to our sponsors, Razer, Singtel, PP Esports, Cine Esports, and Armageddon for making this possible. And a big big shout out as well to Singapore Esports Association and Eliphant for organizing all of this. You have been watching the Singapore Esports International Selection. We will be back with more games, but first off, a small break and a word from our sponsors.